Welcome back. I'm Eric Landskroner, and we are in your corner. The jobless rate continues to climb out there, but if you're out of work, there is a lot that you can do to give yourself the best possible chance of finding a job right now. Joining me today is Eric Frankel, entrepreneur and a business consultant with Frankel Corporate Consulting in Westwood. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Eric. Good day.
There's so much that we can talk about when it comes to looking for a job, and right now with so many people looking for work, the national unemployment rate was 9.4% in May. It edged up to 9.5% in June. We're going to get the latest read on New Jersey's unemployment rate this coming week, and that currently stands at 8.8%, so we're going to see if it continues to kind of keep pace with the national rate or if it's going to stay a little bit lower. First ideas for people if they are laid off. You know, you and I were talking a moment ago about what I was told when I was a kid, and that was the minute you get a new job, you should have your resume updated just in case. You never know. So what do people do if they haven't updated their resume and they did just lose their job?
I think the first thing you have to do is step back. So many people, especially with all the news around us over the course of the last months and year and a half, say to themselves, oh my God, what if I get laid off? What if I get laid off? The best thing is just to kind of step back, relax, recognize this is not the end of the world. You know, the unemployment rate is 8.8% in New Jersey as of May, yet there are a lot of companies out there that continue to need good quality talent, just like you possess. You got to start thinking about what you do exceptionally, what the great things you've done in the course of your career, what kind of value you've delivered to your companies. And to be able to do that, you need to step back and say, hey, I'm not going to get a job tomorrow. I'm probably not going to get a job next week. It's going to take a little bit of time, kind of put the proper perspective about the search, and that will make you much more able and much more confident to be able to go after it and attack it.
All right, so let's go step by step.
Yes.
You say you have to be good to yourself. What does that mean exactly?
You know, we all kind of can step back and say we are not good to ourselves enough. We don't spend enough time for ourselves, with our family. You know, we spend too much time at work. Well, finally you have an opportunity here where you're not working. So all of a sudden you have not 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week where you're in the job. You have all this time to be able to look for a job. But that's not practical or realistic. If you look for a job 40 or 50 hours a week, you're probably going to drive yourself absolutely positively crazy.
Plus, you and I both know that when you're out of work, in many cases the desperation sets in, and you are very prone to making a lot of mistakes, or to sitting in front of the computer perhaps these days, or in front of the newspaper and looking and looking and looking and looking and not really getting a lot accomplished.
You need to lower your stress level rather than increase them. You need to take walks in New York City. You need to do that home construction project you've been wanting to do. You want to spend as much time with your family, friends, whatever makes you feel good, in addition to obviously attacking the job search.
So is that where eliminating that overstimulation comes into play?
Absolutely.
So what about kind of stepping out of your comfort zone? You want to be realistic, you want to be open-minded about everything, right?
I'm going to throw the four-letter word at you that so many people...
Okay.
It's S-E-L-L.
Sell.
Yeah, sell.
Okay.
People do not like the word sell. We've all been sold before, but sell is an incredibly important word to be able to drive revenues, drive business in our economy. And when you are out of work, and especially in this economy where you have a lot of competition looking for some of the same jobs, you have to put on your sales cap and you have to think to yourself, what can I do to differentiate myself? What makes me exceptional? What makes me different? And what can I do to sell? Think about it, a CEO, any decision maker, business leader in an organization, when they receive a nice 9x12 envelope with someone's cover letter and resume in front of them, and they say, wow, this is exactly what I'm looking for, they will be inclined to act. Well, and that's as a result of a good sale.
But you need to establish, as you say, you have to get your goals in order. You have to get your priorities straight and know what you bring to the table first.
Yes.
All right, so it involves some self-examination there. You really need to, I guess, dig deep and think about what you really do bring to the table.
Right. You have to have accomplishments. You don't want a paragraph format cover letter. You want a bullet point format cover letter. You want to be a little bit different. You want to maybe put some color in it, put some italics in it, bold certain highlights of what you've done in your career. Keep your resume 1 to 2 pages max.
Misconceptions, though. What are the biggest misconceptions about your cover letter and your resume?
Biggest misconceptions about your cover letter is repeating some of the same information in your cover letter that you already have in your resume. Making your cover letter 1 page, writing too much. You can always go back to whatever you've written and condense it, condense it, condense it. We all tend to be too verbose, not only in the English language when we talk, but also in terms of the written word. And you can go back often and be able to contract it to where it really just kind of creates a wow factor. You want a wow factor. You want someone who's busy, who doesn't have a lot of time to look at things, to be able to have things jump out at the page and say, I want to interview this person. This excites me.
You know, in the news business, you're told keep the resume to 1 page max. Now, what about outside the news business?
One page is fine for someone maybe in an earlier stage of their career. 2 pages max for someone at a little bit later point of their career.
When do you start cutting stuff out? I mean, you have to prioritize when you start putting stuff in your resume, but you know, that's one of those things. People look at their resume and they look at their accomplishments and they say, you know, I really would like them to know about this. Do you save that stuff for the interview if you get called in?
You know, you utilize your network. Utilize the people that you respect in terms of your world. As a matter of fact, I help a lot of job seekers with this to really be able to focus on what are the most important factors. If you're an excellent manager, you want to focus on the fact you're an excellent manager. That is a huge important skill set that most people don't recognize that it's a huge important skill set. If you're a great listener, if you're a great intangible player, if you're a great technologist, a great accountant, you know, again, what you do exceptionally, those are the things that you want to really be able to jump out at you on both your resume and your cover letter.
Let's talk networking now.
Great.
What do people need to do? They, you know, you get laid off from a job, and it used to be that if somebody's laid off, there's a little bit of trepidation there. They don't necessarily want to go out and admit that they've been laid off, and these days, with so many people out of work, I think that is changing a lot.
I have seen a huge increase in the number of networking opportunities, whether it be networking if you're an HR professional, networking of just specifically HR professionals, networking of all different executives from all different functions. Networking is absolutely imperative because what it does is it gives you the opportunity to practice your spiel, for lack of a better word. You can say, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try this. And it may not work. And you may say, you know something, I didn't like the way that sounded. I'm going to try this next time around. It allows you to increase your confidence. It keeps your communication flowing and going. You're trying different things. Again, you're selling. You are talking about yourself in a way. I hear it all the time, especially from accountants. I'm a CPA, from people saying, you know, I don't feel comfortable selling myself. You know, there's a difference between being an egotist who is talking, you know, prominently just about themselves in a way that no one wants to hear, and talking about not only yourself, but the way you're going to be able to bring value and impact the organization or the person that's sitting in front of you in terms of conversations. The more conversation you have, the more confident you bring to yourself, and networking is a huge benefit in terms of being able to make that work.
Finally, though, there is a difference between being persistent and selling yourself and being a pest.
Yes. Persistently professional. Persistency will ultimately prevail. That is ultimately true, and there's always 20% or 10% of the people that don't like your approach. But let's face it, you're only looking for one job, and if 80% of the people respect the approach that you're taking, that's what you need, and ultimately you're going to get your job a lot more efficiently and effectively and make it the right job for the future.
All right, Eric Frankel, we're going to have to leave it right there. A lot of great advice. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure, Eric.